Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we re-diving into a story that is a perfect example of how one single invention can change the world, for better and for worse. We're talking about Eli Whitney and his revolutionary creation, the cotton gin. You've probably heard of it, but the story behind it and its massive unintended consequences is absolutely fascinating. So, let's set the scene. It's the late 18th century. America is a young nation, still finding its footing. Economy, especially in the South, is heavily reliant on agriculture. Crops like tobacco and rice are big, but there's another potential cash cow waiting in the wings. Cotton, the problem. Processing it was an absolute nightmare. There were two main types of cotton. The long staple kind, which grew mainly along the coasts, was easy to clean. Its seeds popped right out. But the short staple cotton, the only kind that could grow inland across the vast southern territories, was a different beast altogether. Its seeds were sticky and tangled up in the fibers. It was so difficult to separate that a single person, working all day, could maybe clean just 1 pound of cotton. At that rate, growing short staple cotton just wasn't profitable. It was a major bottleneck holding back the entire industry. Enter our protagonist, Eli Whitney. Born in Massachusetts in 1765, Whitney was a natural-born tinkerer. As a kid, he was always taking things apart, figuring out how they worked, and putting them back together. He made nails, hat pins, and even canes in his father's workshop. He was smart, ambitious, and had a knack for mechanics. After graduating from Yale College in 1792, he headed south, hoping to find work as a private tutor. His journey led him to Georgia, to a plantation called Mulberry Grove. This plantation was owned by the widow of a famous Revolutionary War general, Catherine Greene. It was here that Whitney first saw the cotton problem up close. He listened to local planters complain about how they wished they could make cotton a viable crop. They needed a machine, something that could do the work of hundreds of hands. For Whitney, this was a challenge he couldn't resist. Legend has it that the idea came to him after watching a cat trying to pull a chicken through a fence, only managing to snag its feathers. Whether that's true or not, the core concept was brilliant. He envisioned a device with a wooden drum covered in small wire hooks. As the drum rotated, these hooks would pull the cotton fibers through a fine mesh screen, a screen too fine for the seeds to pass through. Then, a second rotating cylinder with bristles would brush the clean cotton fibers off the hooks, preventing jams. It was simple, yet incredibly effective. Whitney built a small prototype, and the results were astounding. His machine, which he called a cotton gin, gin being short for engine, could clean 50 pounds of cotton a day. 50 pounds, that was 50 times what a single person could do by hand. He had solved the puzzle. In 1794, Eli Whitney, along with his business partner Phineas Miller, patented the cotton gin. They planned to install their gins throughout the South and charge farmers a fee for cleaning their cotton. They thought they were on the path to immense wealth. This was the moment that should have secured his fortune and his legacy as a great American inventor. But history rarely follows a straight line. The problem was, the design was too simple. It was so effective and so easy to replicate that blacksmiths and mechanics all over the South started building their own versions. Whitney and Miller found themselves buried in patent infringement lawsuits. They spent years and a fortune fighting legal battles, but it was like trying to stop a flood. The cat was out of the bag, and everyone wanted a piece of the action. By the time their patent was finally validated in court, it was almost expired. Whitney would later say that he had gained nothing but debt and ruin from his famous invention. But while Whitney didn't get rich from the cotton gin, the American South certainly did. The invention unleashed a cotton boom of epic proportions. With the processing bottleneck gone, short staple cotton became the most profitable crop in the country. Production exploded. In 1793, the year before the gin, the U.S. produced about 5 million pounds of cotton. By 1810, that number had skyrocketed to 93 million pounds. The South became the world's leading cotton supplier, feeding the voracious textile mills of Great Britain and the American North. King Cotton, as it came to be known, ruled the Southern economy. This is where the story takes a dark and tragic turn. You see, before the cotton gin, many people, including some Southern leaders, believed that the institution of slavery was a necessary evil that would eventually fade away as agriculture evolved. Tobacco farming was hard on the soil, and the economics of slavery were becoming less and less favorable. The cotton gin changed everything. Suddenly there was an insatiable demand for labor to plant, cultivate, and harvest the massive new cotton fields. The gin cleaned the cotton, but it didn't pick it. The profitability of cotton, made possible by Whitney's machine, revitalized the institution of slavery. Instead of dying out, it became more entrenched and more brutal than ever before. The demand for enslaved people soared, leading to a massive forced migration of over 1 million people from the Upper South to the Deep South and West, often tearing families apart. So, Eli Whitney's invention, designed to solve a simple mechanical problem, had monumental and devastating social consequences. It locked the South into an agrarian, slave-based economy and created a deep economic and ideological divide with the industrializing North. This growing conflict over slavery and states' rights would just a few decades later erupt into the American Civil War, the bloodiest conflict in the nation's history. It's a powerful lesson in how technology is never neutral. An invention can be a tool, but its impact is shaped by the society that uses it. Eli Whitney set out to create a machine to increase efficiency. He ended up creating a machine that fueled an economic system built on human bondage and set the stage for a national catastrophe. What about Whitney himself? Frustrated and broke from the cotton gin debacle, he returned to the North. He wasn't done inventing. He turned his genius to another field, manufacturing firearms for the U.S. government. And it's here that he made his second, and perhaps even more significant contribution to history. At his armory in New Haven, Connecticut, Whitney pioneered the concept of interchangeable parts. Before this, every single musket was handcrafted by a skilled gunsmith. Each part was unique to that specific gun. If a part broke, a new one had to be custom-made. It was slow and expensive. Whitney proposed a radical new system. What if you could manufacture each part of a musket to such a precise, uniform standard that any trigger could fit any musket, any barrel could fit any stock? This would make manufacturing faster, and repairs in the field would be as simple as swapping out a broken part for a new one. This idea wasn't entirely new, but Whitney was the one who successfully implemented it on a large scale. He developed new machine tools and processes to create these identical components. This system of interchangeable parts became the foundation of the American system of manufacturing and laid the groundwork for modern mass production. It revolutionized industry, paving the way for the assembly lines of Henry Ford and the world of manufacturing we know today. So, Eli Whitney leaves us with a complex and dual legacy. On one hand, the cotton gin, an invention that tragically supercharged the institution of slavery and pushed the nation closer to civil war. On the other hand, his pioneering work with interchangeable parts, which helped spark the Industrial Revolution in America and fundamentally change the way we make things. It's a reminder that progress isn't always straightforward. A single idea can have ripples that spread in ways the creator could never imagine, bringing both prosperity and pain. The story of Eli Whitney isn't just about a clever machine. It's about the powerful, unpredictable, and often double-edged nature of innovation itself. What do you guys think? Is it fair to hold an inventor responsible for the misuse of their creation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. It's a really complex question with no easy answers. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story interesting, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. We'll see you in the next one.